Hey, this is Albarran. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have a really amazing guest and interview for you all. His name is Dr. Howard Dennis, and he comes through Christy Van. He's worked with her, and he's has a really great track record and a really great history. And I feel like if you're not an entrepreneur, if you're a mother, a father, just anybody in life that wants to perform better and grow in 2026, then you need to watch this entire interview. It's going to be an amazing conversation. Dr. Dennis, thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Alex. Great to be here.
Absolutely. And so could you give people the, 30-second, not elevator pitch, but sort of just breakdown about your background, your history, because, when people think about performance coaching, they like to see, okay, like what's the background, what's the track record, and you have a great one. So if you could start there, that'd be great.
30-year business owner, doctor of chiropractic. So I'm very holistic, and certified high performance coaching is a holistic approach for people to go to their next level. It's a science-based curriculum. Every session there's predicted outcomes, and it's a challenge-based framework where we have a future-oriented approach. Our brains work in story, and they are future-oriented. And there's transitions, follow-ups with worksheets. And so it just works with the brain and the body, and it just works how we work neurologically. So love it. And that's what I do. I believe what got me into this is I was raised by my mother, and I've always searched for mentors and people and to help me go forward. And I want to be that person that I needed at every age.
I love that. And I love the structure behind it because, you could tell somebody, okay, don't have a scarcity mindset, just grow. Everything will be fine. But people are complex, right? We all are flawed. We all, need structure, especially over a long period of time. So I'll start there and say, what are some of the common things that, again, not just high achieving athletes or entrepreneurs, but everyday people, like what are some of the things that ultimately are stopping them from taking action? I mean, that's like anybody starting a business or growing a business. Action and belief in themselves is the number one ingredient for any sort of success, but that's what stops people. So what do you feel like in your experience, what have you seen stop people from even getting started or just having the confidence, or even like when people come to you, the common thing that they're dealing with?
I would say there's a lot of things, but I feel one of the most important things is when things become challenging and difficult. A lot of us tend to want to soothe ourselves with food or scrolling, TV, movies, all those comforts we have of the world. And it distracts us, and distraction is a huge one, a huge enemy of our lives. And once again, this is about being consistent. You said consistently performing above norms while maintaining a positive health and positive relationships. So that is, I believe, one of the biggest dream killers there are, is not having a calendar. What is important to us in our calendar? Because the road of good intentions goes nowhere. We need actions. And so getting a calendar and setting up habits to go forward. So
Absolutely. No, I love having a calendar, and there's a difference between busyness and productivity, especially as an entrepreneur, because you don't have, or anybody for that matter, like if you're not working in a corporate job where a company like Procter and Gamble, they've been around for probably 75, 100 years, and they have a specific track. So if you got your bachelor's or master's in whatever, and you want to achieve this growth, they're going to tell you, do X, Y, and Z and ABC. And, you're going to be given the exact playbook, and we're going to tell you what to do every day. You just have to show up to work and work hard. And that's why when people go into entrepreneurship at times, they struggle, because there's no boss. There is no playbook. There is no necessarily right or wrong way to invest your time. But most people, they just are all over the place because they don't have that productivity, that schedule saying, what are the most important things for me to accomplish today? So if I only work 4 hours, that's going to drive 14 hours of productivity. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. Yes. Once again, too, and that is this is a huge discussion, but that's, what are our motives? What do we need to get clear about so we can stay focused? And I think that's where conviction comes in too. Conviction is very important because if we lose our way, we got to stay at it though. We got to stay at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, what's a good process for people that you've even worked with where they come to you, they don't have a calendar, they're kind of all over the place, and again, they're not performing anywhere near their potential. So, what are some of the things that you start to accomplish with them? Because I'm sure you probably try to get them to do little things, baby steps, not giant things, fast. Because just like with health, if somebody works out 0 times a week and then they work out 7 times a week, there's going to be that instant burnout relatively. So, what are some of the things and action steps that you take when working with someone?
First, I believe we want to see who is the best Alex. You know, what does that person look like? And if you had to describe yourself, for instance, in 3 words, what would they be? And when you work with people, what are 3 words that you think three people that are around you would say make the best of you? Because I believe we've lost our way, we've lost our vision if we're having a problem of not having a calendar, not scrolling, not making the best use of our time. We need to really get in check and see who that best person is, because we need to get a dashboard again so you can look at your dashboard every day and who are you trying to become and be. And if you're not paying attention to that, then you're losing yourself. You're letting distraction and the world dictate who you are, and they're driving you. You aren't the driver. So we got to get you in the driver's seat again and get a hold of the wheel. So that's where I would.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, because taking control of their time, because as an entrepreneur, time is your most valuable asset because you could have money and connections and everything, but if you don't have your time scheduled the right way and even just your focus and how you're investing your time, you're maybe going to get some results, but not maximum growth potential. Just like in every area, maybe you're spending too much time, away from your spouse or away from your gym or away from the healthy food pantry, let's just say.
Yes.
So I think having that calendar and taking control of that, that's super important. But what do you think are some of the maybe downfalls or pitfalls from people that maybe start that but they can't stay consistent? Because like you said, intentions are one thing, but following through and taking consistent action, which is a tough thing for entrepreneurs sometimes because they start something, it's exciting, they're optimistic, they realize, oh, damn, this is hard. And then they say, you know what, there's this other thing over there that looks more attractive. So I'm going to take action on that. So, how do you get people to take consistent action, especially when maybe they're not in a great place in their business or relationship or whatever they're looking to perform better with? How do you get people to take consistent action?
Well, that's where I'm paid to push. um,
Sure.
I got to push them a little and see if they're being honest with me. Because, for example, if you say that growing your relationship with your son or your wife or your grown son um, or your father or your patient is important to you, then we make the time. It's absolutely necessary. That would be a question too. Is your motive? We call it there's out of everything we can do, Alex, there's 6 top needle movers of change that studies show, that a high performance institute study showed, and they're seeking clarity, generating energy, raising your necessity. That's your willpower. So you're talking about that willpower wanes, and we will fall because we are imperfect, but we got to have these things on our dashboard. We need to put that in our phone of who we want to be and who we want to become, and self check. We got to check in. with ourselves and learn to be self-driven. So I said, raising necessity is your willpower, increasing our productivity, which we're talking about, developing influence or relationships. Some people like relationships; they don't like that word influence. And then courage. We got to step in and have the courage to do this. So those are the six big needle movers. So that's the six things I always look to press with you or whoever, because those are going to be big needle movers. I know there's a lot of things we can do, but those are the big ones. And so I would want to like open up their calendar and look at what's going on and call them out. And if they're fallen, we are, but that's why we need coaches. I have a coach, and I feel like we need a good support system, the circle we surround ourselves with our wives or that special person in your life. We need that support system because relationships are number one in our for our health. So I hope I'm not dancing around that, but that is there's a lot of things to do to step up, and why we're failing is we need to set habits in order when I feel, for example, when I'm with patient members or even clients, every 45 to 60 minutes, I will get some water, drink it, because we need to hydrate our bodies. I'll move my body, take deep breaths. This made a huge difference with Christy. And it can give you energy at the end of the day, and it helps me reset myself so I'm present for the next person that's going to be in front of me. And so those are important. I hope I've answered that. I kind of rambled there, but
No, I love it. No, I love it, especially because, sometimes people, they don't have, as you mentioned, the spouse or somebody in their life that can push them and say, at the end of the day, you said you were going to do this, but you haven't made the time to do it. So what are we doing here? And sometimes that's all
yes,
it takes. People need that kind of just wake up call to be like, okay, I don't have any excuses. You're right. I'm going to go execute. I'm going to go do it.
yes. And it's what you're talking about too. If we're going to talk about this, how our brain works too, we've got this prefrontal cortex, who the best of us is. And then, you got the fight, flight, and freeze brain and the default brain. And if we're getting stressed because things are getting hard, then we can tend to eat or watch and, like you said, not commit to what we're saying. We need to realize when that's happening. And you know what's crazy is getting up, moving around your yard and taking a walk and taking some deep breaths, and just resetting yourself can, as a business owner, can make a world of difference, especially if you had a challenging client or a tough customer that was just really hard on you. You got to reset yourself, and you got to learn that how to reset yourself, and we got to manage our energy and our emotions, because you got to, for instance, after this you maybe got to be with your wife, and if and how you go to the love of your life is very important. And so we got these different scenes in our lives that we need to learn how to manage properly and be aware of it.
Mm. Which is hard because we're not just saying, okay, here's how you're gonna become a money making machine after watching this video. It's saying, hey, well, it's about everything. It's relationship, presentness, health, and wealth, and business, and fulfillment, and everything involved, right? Which is that's the never ending battle that we're all striving towards, because maybe we're pushing hard on the business, and then our balance and focus and energy naturally starts to get a little depleted. So then we focus on that. Then we have to go back to the business. So it's constantly, a seesaw in a sense of just trying to find that right balance and, that focus. And, let's say going on to maybe your most successful clients, or maybe just commonalities you've seen, in the most successful, high performing people, what's the number one biggest commonality that you've seen? And it could be anything. It could be a small thing. It could be a big thing. But what's the number one commonality of very successful, very high performers who they make it all happen?
Yeah, making it all happen is key, because we know some people that probably make a lot of money that are miserable. I think one of the huge keys is those that really value relationships, even to people they come into contact with. Have you ever come into contact with someone that they just make you feel important. And those people that you're talking about, the most successful in business and life and in anything, it's just they have a huge awareness and they love on people. I think that's, you know, not to sound, but it is. They're like, there you are, and they make relationships. But then, don't get me wrong, they're hitting their marks and they're tenacious in their business. And I think mortality motivation is real. And it seems like they've got a really good sense that, hey, I am not going to be here forever. I am very grateful to be here. And what can I do for you, Alex? So I think those are some great traits. That energy comes from them. So I think that's what I would say to that question.
Mm-hmm. And that was mortality motivation, you said?
Well, the reason I was
I've
saying
never heard
that,
that before. It makes sense though. I'm like, I was like, I think I get what he's saying, but I
I,
like it though. I
I
like it
think,
because it's like nothing is guaranteed. You're not guaranteed to be here tomorrow or ever meet this person again. And if it's your first time meeting them, it's like, why not, try to give them the best, not impression, but just the best experience. And hey, like, how can I help you? And just like you're saying, being very relational in that sense.
yeah, and present and connected and caring. You care, a servant's heart, having a servant's heart. And I guess what I meant by that mortality motivation, you said something earlier. It made me think of one of my best friends. He was a doctor of chiropractic and loved his family and all that, but it was always boom, boom, boom. He wanted to do this, get that, buy this. And he was a great guy too, don't get me wrong. But then I think it was 36 or 37 years of age, he got Lou Gehrig's and
Mm.
ALS. And I don't know if you've ever heard of that or not, but you pretty much are trapped under ice. But and he just became, well, he had to slow down, but he purposely slowed down and realized what was important in life. And I think seeing him go through that was in a weird way, a blessing to me to not take things for granted. And I know
Mm.
just a lot of people, they got an awareness that, I heard Sylvester Stallone, he finished his book the other day. I just saw him say something, and he even said that. He goes, I'm not going to live forever, but he just finished this huge book he wrote, and he's going to have come out next spring or whatever. And I was like, man, he's going at it. He's like, I think upper 70s, and he's going at it still. He's still driving, and that was inspiring to see that.
Oh yeah,
Him
he's an
say that.
amazing guy. We actually go to the same golf club, and yeah, his family's great, and yeah, he looks amazing in person. Like because I didn't really grow up with him, so I wasn't like. I mean, I watched the movies and everything, but like your generation and like
Yeah.
Rocky was probably that was everything and Rambo and all
Oh,
that. But yeah, he's very in shape and yeah, just very energetic, and it seems like he's loving life and he loves his family. But like you're saying though, at the end of the day, I mean, there's this guy from Grey's Anatomy too. I think Eric Dane. I think he got ALS as well, unfortunately,
ooh,
and like he, was a movie star, TV star, like in shape, handsome guy, and you look at that and you're like, wow. You see an interview with him now, and he's like, oh yeah, I might have like 6 months left to live, and he's only in his 50s or something. And like you're saying,
man.
it's obviously very hard to see that, but a silver lining, if any, is at least like, okay, well, I'm able-bodied, I have energy, I'm young, I have time, but like time meaning like time right now, not time to defer happiness or gratification. Like let's not just make money now, but let's go on trips and experiences and relationships, and let's do whatever we can because nothing is really guaranteed in the future.
Yes, yes. Perfectly said. Yes.
Yeah. And so to wrap this up, tell me more about what you do in particular because I feel like this is a great niche that you're in and I feel like a lot of people need it even sometimes before they work with someone like me to grow their business, expand, because with what I do it's hard for them to accomplish that if they're not regimented, have the calendar, have the productivity, and can perform what we need them to, marketing wise and making videos and stuff like that. So how does somebody know if they're a good fit for something like you offer? And, what does that look like?
Well, first off, I'd like to say too, though, I think they need you still. And
Hmm.
Christy's proven it that you can have a couple coaches, especially if they're an entrepreneur and they need the help with that. We can work on the inside. But could you repeat that question real quick, and I'll answer that. I
Yeah, for
apologize.
sure. What's the best? How does somebody know if they're in a position to need what you have to offer? And then based on that, like, what do you offer so somebody could get an idea of like what's the transformation potentially they could see if they do the work, but if they work with you.
The transformation that we would expect, because these are given outcomes, is they're going to get more clear about who the best person they are is and what they want to accomplish. Their energy is going to grow because we work on that. There's things we can do to have better energy. And then we will increase the productivity of working on the calendar, how we work our days, our months, and thinking of our quarters is really important just in the beginning. And developing and working at relationships. Any great relationship takes work. We work on that too, and we purposely work on demonstrating courage going forward. And I have what we call a strategy session that a lot of times we do, and I believe that just doing a strategy session with someone, they get a lot from that. But that's usually where we start. And that first quarter is 12 sessions, and that's how it goes. We expect there will be transformation, because if you put your best foot forward, you're gonna grow. You're gonna grow.
Mm, love that. And people can go to drhowarddennis.com, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Awesome. And I'll
Dr.
have the link
Howard.
down below as well.
Great.
So Dr.
Yes.
Howard Dennis,
Yes. and
perfect.
and
Awesome.
there's a free, I also have a free 5-step clarity blueprint. No obligations. They can work through that, and from there we can open up more doors. I have a virtual strategy session they could take advantage of, and that's how you get started.
Awesome. Well, I know this will be the first of many interviews and conversations we have because I feel like my audience, they're starving for information like this because no matter what stage they're at, there's always improvement. There's always work they could do in this regard. So again, I'm sure we'll have you back sometime very soon, but I appreciate you investing the time and, sharing the value and just having this conversation with me. And again, we'll definitely talk very soon. Thanks for coming on.
And thank you very much for having me, Alex. You have a wonderful day.
Awesome. You too.
Thank you.